McLaren-Honda partnership will come to an end at the end of this season. Honda may have spent in the region of $1 billion trying to make an engine to enable McLaren to fight at the front once again. It just hasn't happened. So we're going to ask the question and debate this question, whether McLaren have made the right decision by splitting from Honda after 2.5 seasons. David Croft, I'll have you defend what McLaren are going to do. You're going to make the case that they are making the right move here. Ted Kravitz, you can make the case that no, they should have stuck with Honda through thin and hope that thick comes along. But is there any real sign of any thick coming along?
Well, that's the problem, is that Honda always over-promised and under-delivered. But that doesn't mean that what they're going to is any better. If they could have got Mercedes engines, then fine. I would have understood that. If they would have got Ferrari engines, then fine. Go through the pain, financial and, you know, mental, psychological, emotional pain of splitting with Honda and the fine. But to go to Renault, who are unreliable, I'll just ask Max Verstappen, and not particularly powerful, just ask Daniel Ricciardo or the Toro Rosso guys, or Nico Hülkenberg or Jolyon Palmer. It just doesn't make sense.
But there comes a time when enough is enough, and you've just got to say, forget this. It's not working. We need to move on. McLaren talk about the brand being damaged, and the brand is being damaged. Fernando Alonso this year has officially only seen the checkered flag 3 times. We've had 13 races. He's seen the checkered flag 3 times. Stoffel Van Dorn, if you put a distance and all the grid penalties he's had, it's over 1.2 kilometres. You know, they're not racing, McLaren. They're turning up at a racetrack, but they're not really racing. And this is a team that wins championships, it wins races, it gets podiums. You can see why McLaren say the brand is being damaged. Quite frankly, they could go to Fred Flintstone and his little feet at the moment and have a better chance of finishing the race than they sometimes do with that Honda engine. And that might be being unfair on Honda, but just look at the proof from the last 3 years. Enough is enough. They've got to go somewhere else.
Oh, come on. And the brand is already damaged, sadly. And you've got to say that Ron Dennis actually needs to answer some questions for putting this deal with Honda together in the first place.
You can only have short-term thinking on this. You don't need a long-term decision, because these engines, these current hybrid engines in the format we've got, are only available and likely to be around in the short term.
I'm sorry, Crofty, Craig's absolutely right. You can't win with a customer engine, and that's what Red Bull have realised, and actually it's forced Red Bull away from Renault. And there are reports coming out this weekend that actually Red Bull are saying, do you know what, we've had enough completely. We're going to go the Honda route, and we're going to do that in 2019, so we're going to split from Renault. Renault are going to end the contract with Red Bull at the end of next year. And then we're going to go out. Alan Prost, you know, he's got enough on his plate this weekend, hasn't he?
He's happy seeing McLaren-Renault powered, I guess.
Well, I suppose, but it looks like that Red Bull have annoyed Renault to such an extent that Red Bull are now looking at the manufacturer Honda as their future. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, Fernando Alonso is not going to stay around at McLaren if they're running Honda engines again. He's not going to put up with this. McLaren need that big ambassador driver to go out and sell to sponsors.
If Toro Rosso, or maybe Red Bull Honda in 2 years' time, are beating McLaren-Renault, does that cost Zak Brown his job?
Difficult question to answer. Potentially yes, but I don't think they'll look back on that, because they will have got some podiums and maybe a win by then, so everything will be rosy in the McLaren garden.
Last word, David.
But they'll also say that Zak Brown inherited a situation that he had to do something about, and it's all Ron Dennis's fault. Well, maybe. I don't know if it's Ron Dennis's fault or not, but they're just doing this because they have no other option.
The biggest decision McLaren have made, perhaps in the team's history, is how Zak Brown has defined what he's had to do, or what he's felt he's had to do in terms of switching from Honda to Renault from next season.